All right. Andrew, we have Andrew Sarpong, and Andrew's going to introduce himself to us and where he's hailing from. Welcome to Like Factors, Andrew.
Thank you, Matt, very much, Sonia. It's really great to finally have this conversation. My name is Sarpong Andrews Boakye. I am a communications and public speaking coach. I coach business executives, public speakers, communication enthusiasts to speak with confidence and express themselves articulately in both personal and professional settings. Over the past few years, I have coached hundreds of people from all fields, including students. I have not been coaching students lately because of one or two reasons. However, I am based in Ghana here, and I have clients all over the world at the moment. Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing where you are in the world in Ghana, and I am very intrigued by your accent and the type of work that you do. As I previously stated, that I'm Jamaican, and so in terms of our linguistic, inheritance, then put it that way. Our vowel sounds are not as always, clear in terms of enunciation, pronunciation. So here's my question to you. How many language do you speak?
So, yeah, that's a very good question. I speak two languages. I speak English and Tree fluently, both of them.
And in terms of and could you repeat the word so I can, the language that you mentioned? What is it again?
Hey, English, the first one is English.
Mm-hmm.
Second one is Chi. It's an Akan language in Ghana. It's
Okay.
the spoken language in Ghana.
Okay. And well, thank you for sharing that. And how did tell us your journey to where you are now, in terms of coaching, as you said, people at different levels, students and people in different levels. Tell us the journey to get to this point.
Thank you very much, Sonia. One of the questions I do get all the time is, so how did you begin the journey of your communication coaching and becoming an expert in communication? Well, what I normally say is that it started as a God-given talent where when I was born and since I have existed, I have this natural ability to express myself in any environment I find myself. I don't struggle to find the right words to express it in the right way, to in the right time as well, to arouse the right emotion, response, or action. And in terms of my journey in public speaking, it began about 5 years ago when I decided to become a professional public speaker where I would coach people. Beyond 5 years ago, I knew nothing about public speaking. I'm not sure I even knew what public speaking in essence really was. However, I was doing public speaking in small stages, having conversations with people that I wasn't really aware what I was doing was public speaking essentially. Now, in the university where I had the privilege to do presentations, engage with other people, speak in front of large number of people, I started doing MC for programs, for group programs, for church activities, for casual events. And then it began exposing me to what things people actually face in terms of their communication. Because I realized down the line that most people have difficulties in terms of standing in front of a number of people who they consider, in that case, as strangers, people they have never met before. They find it very, very hard to do that.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel so excited to meet someone for the first time. I find myself being so excited expressing my thoughts or hearing the other person talk or having jumping into a conversation with the individual. So when people would say, well, when I have to speak with some people I've never met before, or when I have to speak with people I don't know, I begin to fumble. I find
Mm.
it difficult to express myself. My brain goes blank and I don't know what to say. It began to be something that fascinates me. I got curious in, so how does that happen? Because this is just meet somebody and a lot of things should come to mind and you can talk. You should feel okay with starting a conversation, whether you know the people or you don't. Why do you have to face that challenge? So it became my interest into exploring more about what are the other difficulties people are encountering when it comes to communication, and what can I do in my own unique way to support them. So about 5 years ago, I started doing these little speaking, which started off as an MC, where I would MC some events. And I started off as, oh yeah, I can MC your program for you. Don't worry, I've got you covered, okay? And be like, oh really? Have you done it before? Oh, me. Don't worry about what I've done. And, and in those times, I just didn't know anything about it. One of the most funny things that happened to me was it was a cocktail party. I had never heard of a cocktail party before. And I said, oh, yeah, I can do it. They were like, okay, sure, then we'll need you to do it. It was my first time hearing it, and I'm just going to do it. So they told me the things I should watch out for. So we want you to do this, we want you to do that. Of course, sure, let's get it done. Then I did it. Then they were like, oh, this was good. Then we have this program coming up. And that was how the journey began. It started from not knowing anything about it and showing up with courage, with confidence, and then doing it the way I want to do it, the way people would enjoy if it's done that way. And that's how it began. Much of it was got to do with my experience in the university, and that changed almost everything for me.
So two key points here that you mentioned. You show up with confidence, right? Showing up
Absolutely.
with courage and confidence. Do you find that's what's two of the biggest you know, factors then or variables that people struggle with in terms of speaking? When you mention, when you say someone speaking in front of a group of people, they get stuck, they lost words. Does it have to do with this their internal processing where they lack the courage or lost it somewhere, and that confidence to just speak and in that moment knowing how to speak in action?
Absolutely. Courage and confidence are
Mhm.
two important skills, I'd like to call it, because it's a skill because you can acquire, you can learn, you can train to have them. Now, I always say that courage comes before confidence. Courage is the energy you need to get started with something that you are afraid of. And
Yeah.
confidence is the internal state you have after starting something that you are afraid of.
Mhm.
And what I have learned over the years is that it isn't that this generation does not have the skills it takes to speak in public.
Yes.
What they lack, what most people lack, is this courage to start. There are fundamentally three types of fear in public speaking. The first one is the fear of judgment. The second is the fear of making mistakes or fear of failure. And the third is the fear of the unknown.
Mhm.
Now, courage requires you to, I know that people are going to judge me. I know that I can make a mistake. I know that I don't know so much about this, but I'm going ahead anyway. I remember last year I had to MC an African Union event in Kumasi. It was called the Callistus Juma event,
Mhm.
and brought together dignitaries from all over the world. It was
Mhm.
around p.m. when I was called in by the Director General for the UNESCO Category 2 Center in Africa. And he told me that, hey, you're going to MC the event for us. At that moment, I began to feel very cold. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I have never done anything of this skill before. But well, I told him, sure, I'm going to be there, Prof, and I'll see you. So I got the details. What time is the event? He gave me the details. And what happened in the morning was, even me as a coach and as a speaker, I was wishing that, oh, what if this program it rains and the program doesn't come off?
Okay.
Yeah. And and you kind of have this internal fear inside of, but what you need is the courage to go ahead to do it regardless. And that is the fundamental thing that people do not have so far. For all of the people I've coached, they want to get rid of that fear, that initial fear. They don't want to feel that, but it's what approaches you first, what hits you first. And once you're able to get over that, that is what exposes you into the second level, where now that you have experienced it, confidence, and I call confidence as the certainty you now have that you can do something. Most people have never done things before, so they are afraid. They don't have any guarantees. They don't have any certainty whatsoever that they will be able to do it. They don't know exactly what to expect. Therefore, it makes them feel so much afraid. You've got to start with the courage that, hey, I've never done this before. I don't know what is expected of me entirely. I don't know how to actually go about it. But regardless, I'm just going to do it either way.
Yeah.
And that is courage, the rare thing most people are lacking when it comes to communication. So yes, courage and confidence are two really important things that people need to have if they want to be effective communicators, if they want to communicate boldly and articulately.
But okay, so let's look at this.
Yeah.
The courage and the confidence, I'm going to look at it as internal factors. And then the judgment, the failure, and the unknown, external factors. I mean, is it fair to categorize it that way, Ben?
Yeah, that's safe to categorize it in that
Okay.
way.
Now, to get over the judgment of ourselves, in other words, we're looking at things we can't control, right? Somebody, the audience is judging you. And for you to feel secure in yourself is to have that confidence, as you said, as you explain it. So it's like there's two competing, two competing factors here. And as much as you may have the confidence, you still have to recognize it, that you can have the confidence, it seems, but then still have to struggle with the judgment, the external piece that may come in at you while in action, because you're looking at people's faces, their facial expression, right?
Yep.
And that is what you're carrying. It can stump you, it can make you feel stuck. Because in a sense, especially if it's not an environment, it's an interactive piece where you can say, oh, I notice you're confused. Can you help me understand? But it's where it's more of the dimensions could be coming in both ways,
Yeah.
but it's just the expression, not what the person is saying, that forces the interaction. It's what you're looking at that can stump you. How do you fix that in that moment? I hope I'm clear with that piece.
Yes, you're very clear in terms of how you can fix those thoughts running in your mind
Okay.
and that you see around you and the effect they have on you.
Yes.
Now, there's an extra layer to being able to express yourself confidently, and that many people call it presence. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Presence, I like to call it as the one comfortability to the calmness And three, the intentionality with which you communicate. Now, this is something that is very rare, and in most individuals who communicate, this
Mm-hmm.
is missing in them. What do I mean by comfortability and the calmness? The comfortability has got to do with now I'm standing in front of 1,000 people. Everyone is looking at me. And to you, the individual standing there, some thoughts that might be running through your mind is, what if they think my dress is not so nice? What if they think my flap is opened? What if they think my shoe isn't so good? Oh no, everyone thinks I'm looking very awkward. Okay. And the presence has got to be the comfortability aspect is you feeling calm despite the thoughts you are thinking, they are thinking about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Feeling calm in that mode, feeling comfortable about the thoughts. That has got to do with an internal thing. Now, the next aspect has got to do with the calm. Okay. Now, the calm is yes, I have all these thoughts. So you see great speakers presenting or delivering speeches all over. Most people are just fidgeting all over the place because they have this internal discomfort or uneasiness in them
Yes.
that are not able to maintain that degree of calmness in themselves. So you need to feel comfortable in yourself in that moment, irrespective of what you are thinking, people are thinking about you. That's the first one. And remaining calm, irrespective of how you feel. And the third layer, which I call the intentionality aspect, is
Mm-hmm.
what you want to say because you want to say it. You're making the facial expressions because you want to make them. You're moving on the stage because you want to move. What happens to many people when they are speaking in public is that they realize that their body is controlling them. I remember 3 days ago, absolutely. 3 days ago, I was coaching one of the executives, and he told me that he had a friend who was presenting, and that friend would pick his nose anytime he's presenting in front of the
Yes.
group.
I want to talk about that. Okay, good.
Now, he said, so, coach, I told him, and he said, no, I don't do that. He himself does not know that he does that when he's on the stage. The brain is not being intentional about the movement. Public speaking requires you to be very intentional about every single thing you do. The way you make your voice, it has to be intentional. The way you look at the people has to be intentional.
Right.
I'm looking at you because I want to look at you. I'm raising my palm because I want to raise my palm. I'm walking on the stage because I want to walk on the stage. I'm taking these steps because I want to take them. Now, what he did was, okay, fine, I will not argue with you. What I'm going to do is the next time you are on the stage, I will record you and I'll send it to you. So he recorded him and he realized that, oh, so I've been picking my nose throughout. Oh, God, no. And it was only then that he realized that, oh, so I've been doing this. And look at the way I'm moving on the stage. We're not conscious of these things. And
Yeah.
that's what to do with presence. We don't feel comfortable. That is one. We don't feel
Yeah.
calmer in ourselves. And three, we are not intentional about what we do. Our body controls us.
Oh
This,
my goodness, my face. Because this is very, very interesting. You're giving me so much here. Because I'm still gonna go back in I want to touch on the piece about the presence and then the 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 reaction that people engage in immediately. They'll be sitting there all along. And the moment they start speaking, their hands go to different parts of their body. And it is one of the most interesting thing that I have ever seen. And I've always been curious about it, but I want to go back to because you're giving so many categories here. So we talk about the judgment and the failure,
yeah,
right? So you're saying that while, say, for example, you're on stage and you're speaking,
yeah,
And all these thoughts are going through your head about people in the audience. Are they looking at my shirt? Is my zipper down? You know, all those kind of things. What is it that you'd say to yourself in action in those moments to maintain that presence of self, to kind of push these I don't want to use the word intrusive because it become clinical now. To push these thoughts out and just maintain that presence. To Is it a work that has to be done behind the scene, or can you allow it to say, okay, I'm not going to try to control the, before. I'm going to try to control it then in that moment, thus creating a more conscious presence. Can we do that?
That's a very good question, Sonia. And we can do anything we say we want to do, provided we are willing to put in the work. Now, in terms of how to control the thoughts that runs in your mind, I always advise against the fact that you say, hey, when I go there, I'm going to have a positive mindset. I'm
Uh-huh.
going to convince myself that, hey, well, there's nothing wrong with me. It's always going to fail. It's going to fail because, as I said earlier, public speaking requires you to have only one thing on your mind when you're speaking. Only one thing. Imagine you take a coaching and maybe someone says, when I'm speaking in front of the audience, my voice shakes and I'm not able to express myself the way I want to. I realize that I fumble a lot. So I want to really get a technique around it so that I can do that. Okay, cool. This is a much more. This is one of the problems, right? And the idea might be, okay, when you get to the stage, okay, only speak when you are exhaling, not when you are inhaling. Okay. Now, if I ask you to say hello while you are inhaling, don't cut the flow of air. Okay. Don't cut the inhale of the air. I need you to give it a shot right now. So while you are breathing in, don't cut it. Just try to say hello. Let's give it a shot. Let me tell you something. So try saying hello while you are inhaling.
Hello.
You don't have to pause, okay? Okay, it's impossible to speak or produce voice while you are inhaling, unless you are exhaling. Okay, on the exhale, then that we are able to produce voice. So the reason why I always advise against students or people or speakers kind of having a mindset that prevents them to maintain calm is that that skill is going to fail.
Uh-huh.
So one technique where, okay, only speak when you are exhaling. That is one. Then another advice is speak from your chest so that you don't sound nervous. Most people speak like this. So once you get there, there are so many rules that you want to follow. And because of that, it makes you overwhelmed and you're not able to deliver the way you want to. So the best approach is to prepare. And in terms of the preparation, of course, there are a lot of activities. You have to make sure that you've prepared beforehand. And the preparation is you becoming the embodiment of the skills you want to demonstrate on the stage, rather than
Mhm.
keeping in your mind, than keeping them in your mind. Now, what is the best way to overcome the issue with how to not become overwhelmed on the stage or these
Right.
negative
Mhm.
mindsets? The best approach is approach speaking with your audience as if they are individuals who love you,
Good.
individuals who want to see you succeed,
Mhm.
people you like, and they just want to hear from you for their lives to be changed. That's the only perspective that
Mhm.
can save you. Nothing more, nothing less. Approach it from a perspective of love. Hey, I'm excited to share my perspective. And these individuals here are very happy to hear what I have to say. This will change your speaking game for you forever. From
Okay.
this perspective, you are able to operate from a much more natural way. You're going to reduce your anxiety or the nervousness by a massive degree rather than telling yourself, when I get to the stage, I'm going to force myself to be composed. No, focus on, hey, they love me and I'm happy to share my perspective.
That's
And
such an excellent, that's such an excellent, because then that's where the positivism and the confidence just keep emerging and it just create a different set of energy. That is an excellent, excellent mindset to have. Okay, what about the unknown? Is the unknown in terms of you are outside of your scope and you're trying to present on something, or unknown in terms of people in the audience, maybe just based on their expression and reaction, is saying, wait a minute, this guy doesn't know what he's talking. What is it? What is the unknown?
usually, the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, of course. Now, the unknown is everything you cannot predict.
Okay.
We humans behave in a very funny way. So, for this conversation, I have to have a perspective of what is it that Sonia would like to talk about.
Right.
The unknown is, hey, we want you to have a conversation with us. Okay, sure, I'll be there. What are they? What do they want me to talk about? Who are the individuals who are going to hear this? How do they want me to talk about it? The unknown is all of the uncertainties we don't have information about. We want to prepare for these things. And when we don't have any information whatsoever about, it makes us feel nervous and makes us feel afraid. So you can pick the unknown from the perspective of one,
Mm-hmm.
what you have to do while you are on the stage and what the expectations of the people are.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know that, hey, the people want me to talk about this, about that, you become a lot more calmer in yourself that, oh, they should want me to talk about this, yeah, I have this thing already, so I'll just give it out to them. And the other perspective of, okay, so given this event, what are the specific things? What are the kinds of individuals who are going to be there to give you assurance in yourself that, hey, this is what is going to happen, and I have this solution for it. The unknown is anything we know or we feel we don't have any remedy or we don't have any way around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it can go into any aspect. Most of the time I say the reason why they ask us to practice, or many public speakers or coaches ask you to practice, is so that you reduce the element of the unknown, because the more you practice, the more you know, and because you know, it gives you some confidence, a
Mm-hmm.
belief that if this thing happens, hey, I already have practiced this, therefore I'm going to get it done.
Right.
And many people are caught up in the loop of practicing to make sure they know everything before they start, which unfortunately never happens. So that's the
So the overconfident speaker then. They
absolutely
practiced, they said, I got this, man. I got this. And then what? What's that? What happens? You may have probably looked at, you know, v- maybe 100 of videos
exactly.
like that where you see people crash on stage and become very awkward, and they're gonna have a million explanations after. Maybe project on the audience. It's the audience fault. It's this, it's that. Okay. So what do you think?
There's actually a very thin line between being overconfident and confident. Most people who are overconfident, they project a version of themselves they are not. You know, you cannot really do the damned thing, but you are behaving as if, you know, hey, I have all the answers when you don't. I think the thin line between overconfidence and confidence is overconfidence most of the time operates on sheer ignorance and ego,
Mm,
because the confidence asks questions to be certain on what they are not certain of. And they admit to themselves that, I don't know this thing. So they ask questions that will help them clarify their concerns. The overconfident, on the other hand, does not know, but behaves as if they know it. Don't worry about it. I have it all figured out, when they don't have any answers. They don't have any solution around it. And this is a really terrible situation to be in. And it's a very dangerous mindset to have, to project an extension of yourself that you are not, which many people lately are doing because, well, fake it until you make it.
Mm-hmm.
But that also has this very specific limitation. And it does not have to ignore the fact that you have to admit to yourself that I don't know this, therefore ask. You don't know, but you don't ask, but you project that you have it. That is overconfidence, and that can ruin your speaking journey drastically. Drastically.
I'm gonna put a couple categories to you about speak communication. It's not just speaking. It
Absolutely.
so if you have to, let's define this then. Let's hear your definition. If communication involves what for you, from based on just the experiences that you've had, and it seems as if there's this natural tendency, as you mentioned earlier on, this natural tendency to be able to articulate the understanding of how to communicate well. How would you define it to someone?
Okay, that's a very good one, Sonia. Here's how I always define communication. It involves someone sharing or sending an information to another person or group of persons. And this person, once receives it, decodes that information that they have received to create understanding, and then providing feedback on what they received. Most of the time, people send information, it gets to the other end. For example, you ask a question, you send an information to me, I receive the question, I didn't understand it, and therefore I never give any feedback. Therefore, it means we have not communicated. Okay. Now we can also communicate on the premise where I receive it, but the way I decoded it, I did not understand it from your perspective, and therefore I gave you a wrong information. Okay. Now, what happens in terms of decoding it can go either way. You can misunderstand it or misinterpret it. However, it involves someone having information, sending it to another person, the other person receiving it, and then giving feedback. So if the other part is never there, there is no communication. If the
Ah,
other part, one person sends and the other person does not receive it, you have not communicated.
so you need it has to be a two-way interaction in a sense.
Excellent. A two-way interaction.
Okay. All right. Now let's look at, I know you said, well, for whatever unknown reasons, or whatever reasons you decide not to be, is it that you decided not to coach students anymore, or you're finding that, wait a minute, technology is into, I can't compete with technology. It's too big, it's too broad, it's too hard. What is it? Because it has to be. Um, we I don't know if you want to answer that piece yet about your
Okay.
reasons for not wanting to coach students anymore, and what age group, by the way.
Okay, that's a very good one. Now, I'm defining students as individuals in school,
Mm-hmm.
that high school to somewhere mid-tertiary. And the reason why I don't coach them anymore is because of, well, one reason, my coaching is focused on transformation. Now, what I've noticed about most students are they want to become those things they envision, but they're not really ready to make the commitment on their end. That is sticking through those specific things that will make them build the competence in the communication journey.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have the impression that this will be nice, this will be nice, this will be nice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have its real actual translation in how it works in the real world. So they barely take it serious until they get to the career or the working world. Then they realize, oh, I need this skill because I
Yeah.
can use it for this specific thing. That using it for this specific thing is usually not strong for students.
Mhm.
Therefore, they can frustrate you, the coach. But for those individuals in the field already, because they deeply understand how it works and how important it is to them,
Right.
they their resources, they commit their time, they are very willing to stick through to get things done. Unlike the students in this case, who they dream of how nice it will be, but are not ready to make the commitment to becoming those things they envision.
Okay.
However, I've been organizing workshops for them, by the way, free workshops.
Thank you for that. All right. So, do you find that if one is a very good writer, then one is a great communicator? Is that an equality there or no?
Okay, that is a good one. Today, I was having a conversation with one of my clients in the UK. He's an excellent writer, but not a good speaker.
Okay.
So you can communicate on the premise of, hey, I'm sending text. I can write the text, you receive it, you give feedback. Brilliant. They have communicated. There are forms of communication. We have written, we have verbal, we have non-verbal, all those kind of stuff. So on the premise of the written or the non-verbal, and particularly with emphasis on the writing. Of course, many people are good there because you can send me a message. I will not read the message. I'll just copy it, give it to AI. AI gives me a feedback. I can
Yeah.
paste it, boom, for you. And you might feel, oh, this guy, the articulate is good. Oh, I think I need to have a conversation with them. And it's then that you realize that, whoa, you can be a good writer, but not a good speaker or not a good communicator.
Okay.
So being a good writer does not equals being a good communicator on the premise of speaking or physical engagement.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to complicate this question, only to be fair to anyone that may watch this video. Does speaking or the belief that we speak the English language make us adaptable to or flexible to communicating more effectively? Does knowing the English language is a sign of that, of
That's a very
a
good one.
good communicator?
Okay, it's a very good one to explore how whether being having a deeper understanding of English make you a good communicator.
Mm-hmm.
What I have seen is that I have technical people I'm coaching, engineers, I have medical professionals, and these people are really good with English. There's no
Mm-hmm.
doubt. Let me speak from the perspective of engineers because I have engineering background.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things a lot of us are fighting over is that they say we engineers are terrible communicators. How we know English, we speak perfect English. They're good with English. They can speak it. They have a deeper understanding of their tenses, of the grammar, and all of those things. What is actually lacking is on my premise of articulacy or being able to express yourself, which I call your ability to say one what you want to say in the right words at the right time to arouse the right emotion. So four things. Okay. Now, people with good English, they are able to know what they want to say. Okay, quickly, they know exactly what they want to say. They're able to pick the right words. Okay. Now, in terms of the right time, now I have a word. What specific moment do I have to use this word? They get that part done. What they lack is the part, how to arouse an actual emotional response in the other person who's listening. That part is usually lost. So we are having people speaking, but they are
Mm-hmm.
not really communicating because they are not arousing an action in the other person who's listening. So you might send a message and okay, I receive it. Okay. but I never give you any feedback because of the way you conveyed the message to me. You're
Mhm.
good with English, you have the right vocabulary, you have a lot of people have huge vocabularies, they bring
Yeah.
in heavy words, and yet people are not able to understand because they lack the fourth aspect of arousing an emotional response in the other person. So, being good with English does not necessarily mean that you can or you are a good communicator.
I'm glad you emphasized, and that's an excellent way of explaining it. And that is a very sore point, especially in the English speaking countries, and in the relativeness of communication when one group is speaking and the other maybe say English is a second language, and it comes off as that, and it can be stereotypical, and then that now creates all these judgment and failure and the confidence. So you can start out having all these components in place, um, positive mindset, high confidence, knowing in action, being on stage. But the moment, if your larger audience is one of those that you're going into that unpredictability in a way, um, do you see where even the best of the best may somewhat start having, just feel jittery and nauseous because of the high level of judgment and critique and about the person's enunciation, pronunciation, the accent that they're hearing. So the person is speaking well, this person is communicating, another audience would have received it and the emotions would have been at play, everything would have been equal. But the audience, which you cannot control, they're only hearing through their phonetics,
Yeah,
through their own audio of how they, or if I was saying that this is how I would sound,
yeah.
and they did, it's not that the message is not landing, they're just shifting, and the speaker cannot catch them. What do you say?
I think it can be a challenge, really, in terms of what you focus on and what the audience focus on. Because just like you mentioned, some people might focus on the accent or your background, whether English is your native language or
Right?
English isn't. Now, yes, what I have learned over the years, I've realized that speaking or public speaking is not essentially about what the audience are looking for. It's about what you make them see. You have the power to turn or to focus their understanding or their focus to a very specific thing. I've seen many great speakers who do not have a great grammar deliver presentations that may move people to tears.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not essentially one about the accent. It's
Mm-hmm.
not essentially about the grammar. It's not essentially about the story. It's not about any of those things. It's about what the speaker wants the audience to focus on.
Wow.
Because when you are going to speak, they don't know what to expect. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what of all the things in the world you are there to talk about. Are you there to talk about agriculture? Are you there to talk about life? Are you there to talk about family? They don't know all these things. So it's your responsibility as the speaker to shift the focus, to control the focus of your audience
Mm-hmm.
into a direction that you want them to go. In my videos I produce, now there are some content, my focus is on the voice. So I make the voice in such a way that everyone's attention does not really go to the message, it goes to the voice.
Mm-hmm.
There are some I make the focus move to the joke, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore at the end of the whole video, people remember the joke and not the things I said. And there are some the message is focused, the content is focused on the message I'm sharing rather than all of the other aspects of the conversation. So it's all there are many things that the audience might consider, but it's your duty as the speaker to narrow down their focus into what you want them to look out for. That's what I would say,
I
Sonia.
appreciate that so much because here you are. I continue to shift to say, well, there are some things that is outside the control of, but here you are still giving the speaker the control and say, it's what you're focusing on. And I appreciate that because a lot of times I mean, what I'm trying to do is give somebody excuse, right? To say, to say that. All right, let's look at um, speaking, communication in terms of, say, you're based on who you coach. Do you find in terms, let's look at just the two gender for now, even though, where is it easier to coach a male in terms of their communication style, or is it easier to coach a female or a woman or a man in terms, um, this could be in reflection, or maybe if you've had the experience of documenting this, then share with us.
Okay, that's great. Now, majority of the people I have coached so far have been males. Approximately about 70% so far have been males,
Oh,
and
wow.
roughly have been females. Which one of them is it's easier to coach? Of course, males. It's so easy coaching the male. Than males, okay, I'm not really sure about the entire reason. However, the males usually have their challenge. They know exactly what they want, so you're guiding them to getting it. The
Mhm.
female, on the other hand, usually most of them have perspective of what they want, but they're not really sure how it's affecting them. So you have to spend most of the time exploring what you think they need in combination with what they think they need, and you work together to come to a point where you now begin to guide them to getting it. And along the way, they begin to have different perspectives. Oh my God. But so far it's been easier coaching the males than the females. And what the other aspect has also got to do with most of the time it's the males who are always reaching out. That's absolutely one of
Ah, interesting.
yeah, reaching out. Yeah.
All right. So you made a point earlier on. You said you said you have an engineering background, right? And I couldn't help but taking that point. And then you go back to you said something about emotions that connecting with the audience, and there's the emotional connection. But for engineer, and let's look at it in terms of logic and emotions, right? Engineering tends to look at things in a logical way, and even doesn't matter the type of engineering that you do, everything is logic.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to understand how we're connecting now communication, engineering, and the logical way of thinking, and then how do we kind of sprinkle all of that with emotional connection in communication? How does that work? Do you understand the question?
Yes. Okay. So you're looking at how we make logic work with emotional connection in communication. Is that quite the same?
Especially, and I'm using the engineering background because that tends to be one of the fault in an engineering mind.
Mhm.
They don't see the emotions in anything. It has to be pointed out. It has to be so direct, and they probably still question is that what is the purpose of that anyway? Because everything has to be logic. So
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Okay, that's a very good one. I studied automobile engineering,
Okay.
and one of the things I learned is that, for example, you have a car and engineers, you're looking more of the logic, the logical aspect. Hey, the car has to have this braking force or braking power. This has to be the speed. The metals have to have these stresses all on the sidebars, and the engine has to have this horsepower. Those kind of stuffs. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because as an engineer, you are dealing with some kind of non-living device, in essence,
Uh-huh.
and so a living device in a way, right? Now, what you do control is the non-living device, okay, the device you make, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where the problem lies is engineers, we are so focused on making sure that the thing meets a specific logical need, just as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Now, don't see the point in because we don't see the point in the fact that okay, so this person will feel this way about it. What does it mean for the person to feel this way? It doesn't mean anything to the engineer. Okay, so it kind of cuts out the aspect of emotion from there. The car has to be able to do this. It's done it. That's it. Okay. However, where the emotion comes in is, hey, we have this device and we have people who operate on emotions, not on logic. Because for someone to buy a car, you have to communicate on an emotional level to the individual, where
Exactly.
when you sit in the car, it's going to feel very warm and the temperature is going to be somewhere around 25 degrees Celsius. When you have 25 degrees Celsius, it makes your brain relax and you are able to sleep very well. We don't give a damn about those things. We are, hey, the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. The speed is
Okay.
so as long as it gets the job done,
Done.
hey,
That's
the
it.
following features, it gets the job done. This building can withstand a magnitude 9.8 earthquake. That is it. We don't really focus on how people are actually going to feel about what we have created because well, what is the effect of what they will feel? We focus more on its logic because we take into action the effect of what they feel.
Yeah.
Now, on the emotional stand, it's about this is the emotion and this is the result. We are operating because of what the emotion is going to yield us. But here we've made a car, whether you buy or you won't, as long as it can do the speed, that's it. You should buy it,
Mm-hmm.
not the emotional stand. And that is one of the things that makes engineers kind of a bit fall short in terms of running business and making sure that they are able to connect with people on an emotional standpoint.
Now it's understandable why 70% also, because some of that too configure into gender, because we know there's mostly engineers in males in the engineering field as well. All right, let's talk about eye contact, which almost in every public speaking course, it's such a big thing. Eye contact, the nonverbal body language then. Is it really a big deal? Should it be? The eye contact.
Eye
Making
contact.
eye contact with your audience, or they will say, find someone in the audience that you can, connect with. Do
Ah,
you give, is that one of your advice?
well, it hasn't been one of my advice, actually. Yeah, it's very interesting. I remember growing up, I was told that, which I find it to be a very damn advice, by the way. I was told that when you are standing in front of the audience, don't look at people in the face or don't look at people in the eyes. Look at the top of their heads. Look on top of their heads. Don't look
Uh-oh.
at them. Okay. And being in the communication and public speaking space, I've realized, whoa, that really is quite a damn idea. Now, why eye contact? It's eye contact. The purpose of eye contact is to build connection. We want to build connection with the individuals there. We want to make them feel involved in what we are doing, not to treat them as some kind of objects, not to treat them as some things that are not useful. We want to make them feel that, hey, I'm talking about these things. And you, the one listening to me, is so much important as far as what I'm talking about is concerned. Therefore, make eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
The reason many people are not able to make eye contact, or why people ask you to focus on one person you can connect with, is because they don't have confidence. One of
Ah,
my exactly one of my friends says, "Okay, what if I make eye contact and someone I look at someone's face and they do their face like this and I laugh and I destroy the whole thing." Okay, that's a sign that you, the individual, is not really up there on your confidence game. As a speaker, you have to be able to look at almost every single person there, if it's possible, if the audience are not large, or give everybody an impression that you're looking at them. What happens when you speak with people when they have a feeling that you are looking at them is that they feel more connected in you.
yeah.
They they pay attention when you
Mm-hmm.
look at them. So you're speaking with somebody and you look at other people, then you come back to them. If they are distracted by their phones, they put the phones down and for a brief moment, you leave them look at other people, then you go back to taking it. When you come back to them, they feel a lot more involved in the conversation,
Okay.
involved in sharing, rather than looking at one person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that person is the only person in the room. Hey, not fair. We're all here. Okay. So I see that as an excuse to not revealing your lack of confidence. If you're
Mm-hmm.
really a confident speaker, you should be comfortable with looking at everybody, looking into the eyes of everybody,
Mm-hmm.
smiling with them when you're speaking, making sure that they feel very unique and special in their own way for being there. That's what I would say about eye contact. Very
Okay.
important. Make sure
So
you do.
of course, I'm going to complicate that a bit. So,
Yeah.
and I'm going to share just one little tidbit about, I'm going to use myself as an example. Eye contact was one of my main, and if you notice, I said was, main way of, connecting. It's almost an energy for me. And there's something that I noticed over the years that my eye contact have changed dramatically. Yes,
Oh, I
dramatically. I find that when I'm speaking, and so that's why I said I'm sharing this because I always want to learn more about it. And I think maybe you're the one that can, it has changed. And then I started thinking about it and I said, okay, try to figure out when this could have changed. I find that when I start speaking after a certain point, my eyes shift or I look down and then I go up. And then I found out that over the years, based on some experiences that I've had, your eyes, when they say your eyes is a center of your soul, it truly is. The experiences I've had, there's some elements of trauma in there.
Mhm.
And it has
Mhm.
caused me, which impact my eyes. And I'm self-diagnosing now. Not, I just know that. And I realized, oh, wait a second. I could sustain an entire conversation and just keep looking. But I noticed that throughout those years that I've noticed the shift in my eyes, it's because of the things that I've been experiencing. And it affect or shake one's confidence. It has
Um,
shake my confidence. So when I see that happening to other people, that also connect me to them and help me to understand, wait a second, there's something else. It's not so much a person doesn't have the confidence. Life factors, life experiences have impacted them in a way that if you're not fully healed to come back to that center, everything shows in your eyes. Is that a good theory or hypothesis to work with to understand eye movements as it relates to confidence and communication. What do you think?
Sonia, that's a very good hypothesis there because eye movement is one of the key things that depicts whether someone is confident or not.
Hmm.
And for your experience, you are very right to say that the kind of experiences we have shifts our confidence.
Hmm.
I coach this student, and for him, he was very, very persistent. So I coached him. Now, during the middle of the coaching journey, then he confided in me that, hey, I had an experience that has really affected my confidence.
Hmm.
While I spend most of the time before I coach anyone, I spend a lot of time. I think much of my work I do is a therapy's work to really delve deeper into understanding why you have communication habits and why you struggle to speak the way you do.
Yes.
Now, he confided in me and he was, look, this is what happened to me first year. I had an encounter where the hostel I stayed in was broke into by thieves. And that experience had made me really traumatized that I've realized that since the events happened, I've not been able to communicate or speak the way I want to. I've
Oh,
realized that voice is just feeling that shy, it's not
yeah.
coming well, and I just don't know how to overcome it. So, yes, you're absolutely right.
Hmm.
The experiences we have affect our eye contact
Hmm.
so much. Coming from Africa, most of the time, they say you are not supposed to look at an elderly in the eye.
Right.
So it makes it more uncomfortable for you. You don't have to look at a king or a chief in the eye. So it makes you prefer not to, when you're speaking with people, you're looking somewhere.
Yeah.
And Western people consider that, hey, yeah, you are hiding something.
Yeah.
You are being mischievous here.
Hmm.
You are not being honest here, which is essentially might not be true, really. So, yes,
Exactly.
the kind
Yeah.
of experiences, the kind of cultural background, the kind of environment we grew in affects our ability to make eye contact.
Hmm.
And for whatever reason, they all boil back to confidence.
Yes.
Those traumatic experiences,
Hmm.
those cultural limitations,
Hmm.
those environmental factors that affect you has made you held back from actually looking at people in the eyes when you're having conversations with them. It makes you feel this level of uncomfort in yourself, and therefore you don't want to look at them. So it all boils down back to confidence. I remember I never liked to make eye contact. I no, hell no. You're talking with me, I'm looking somewhere else. Oh, okay, 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 okay. I never liked to do it.
Hmm.
And so I actually decided to consciously practice making eye contact, and then it
Hmm.
changed the entire game for me. So experiences that's affected a lot of things come into play.
Yeah.
However, these things it's showcasing our lack of confidence. That's the
Okay.
bottom.
And this piece of information could be helpful to say a potential client who is struggling with that, maybe raising the conversation. It's not just a confidence out of nowhere. Maybe something may have impacted and shift that. Or just the way I explained, all the confidence in terms of eye contact, everything was in place. Something have happened that shift that's similar to the experience that you've had. All right, let's look at. I know we could talk forever. We've been going on and on here. Um, Let me ask you a couple more questions. In the public space, whether living or have passed on, who would you say have the one of the most prominent speaking skills, and this is someone that we should probably try to emulate in some ways? Who across the globe? And even if it's someone that well known, I can always look it up. We can look it up.
Okay, that's a very good one, and I'll answer this one from this perspective. I think the very person you have to look up to depends on you, the individual, and what you really want to build in yourself.
Hmm.
Now that you have that clear, then you can know exactly who you want to look up to. For example, when I was starting out, there's this gentleman called Julian Treasure.
Okay.
He is I think, the fifth or the fourth time best TED talker in the world. What I liked about him was his ability to deliver, his ability to actually have this synergy between the concept he's delivering and the way he's able to act, not just giving the concepts, but he made sure that the style of the delivery matches with the concepts he's sharing. And he talked about the voice, the power of the voice, and it had this kind of deeper meaning, and you can see the whole thing really come to life in his delivery. What that was really brilliant. And in terms of if you want to look into how to project confidently, I always look at Vusi Tembiguayo, who is actually, I call him the star in terms of Africa on the premise of public speaking, because he has this way of projecting the message
Hmm.
and it really sticks, it hits you deeply. He has this interesting way of smiling. So if you are somebody who has difficulties in making sure that your body language engages the people you are speaking with, and you sound very dull all the time when you're speaking. He's one of the best people you can look up to, Visit Dembiguayo. He has the power to project the voice, and he's able to deliver the message to actually hit you on point. Okay, and he's really good at that. I would also recommend Vin. These are individuals you know already. Now, the reason why I'm recommending Vin is his ability to make sure that the voice actually comes with some level of energy that is really out of the blue, because he's able to come speak at you that feels hitting, it hits you, and it holds your attention for you to actually listen. So if
Hmm.
you have to be an individual who hasn't been outspoken for a long time, who does not know how to project the voice in such a way that your audiences can hear the message, then Vin really is one of the great individuals you can really look up to. Or if you are an individual who is particular about cadence, then the former president of the United States, Barack Obama, is an epitome of really speaking in cadence, where he speaks, gets to a point, and then he continues with his message, breaking it into small chunks for you to actually think and process the message, while it gives him time to really process what he has to say next, allowing you to follow with the message. So, in summary, I would recommend Barack Obama if you want to really speak in cadence. And I would recommend Wisdom Biguayo if you want to actually project your voice on a large scale. And Julian Treasure if you want to focus on really your tone of voice matching the delivery of your message. And then Vin, if you're somebody who's not been speaking for a long time and you sound very dull most of the time when you're speaking, you want to have a much more engaging voice, then Vin is your go-to guy. These are the figures I would recommend
Wow.
to.
I'm impressed with this list. Of course, I'm gonna look them up. I'm a big TED speaker fan in terms of, the different speakers. I may have come across him, but the name but I was actually, one of the next question was about cadence, and you actually jump ahead there. So let's talk about that, because that is something that I have been wanting to achieve. Just being more conscious about all the way that I speak. I know I have a long way to go, it appears. But the way that you just explained it is exactly it. As you said, speaking with cadence allow the listener to digest in such a way, and then the connection, to me, it just feels easier to listen to the person, easier to hear them. when they speak that way. There's another person that I'm actually following that really speak with that cadence that you mentioned is a current Speaker of the House in the US. His name is Akeem Jeffries. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a similar speaker. And I mean, he's so good at having you slow down to listen to him. It's so good at it. And I appreciate that because for some people who are not quick thinkers or digest quickly information, someone who speaks with cadence, it's so easy to connect with them because you hear, you listen, you digest, then he gives you more, then he feeds you more, and then you just that's really it. And so I appreciate you raising that point because it is something that even for your students who you may get back some of those as clients, it's something that they need to learn to do as young people. Because I believe that even if effective communication is not something that it's an inherent gift or trait, it can be learned. It can be taught just the way that you're
100,
right?
100%.
Yes. And so, oh,
Give me a second.
let me Okay, so welcome back. So, in can you clarify whether or not for students at say grades 9 through 12 that teaching them on how to speak with cadence would be more effective at that level?
That's a very good one to clarify if speaking with cadence can be more effective when you teach it to students between the age of 9 to 12. And what I would say is that when it comes to speaking or learning, the earlier the individual has experience with learning the thing, the much better it is for the individual to build the competence, the expertise in it. I
Mm.
noticed my own line that when I was growing up, it was easier for me to speak in cadence than I grew up
Ah,
because when I was growing up, I could just hear something and I could make exactly that sound. But now I'm kind of lost and it's become a bit more harder for me to even speak or express myself in a much more effective way in terms of cadence than I could do it some years ago. Because around that time, I really knew how to do the pitch and the rate and the volume and the silence and the pauses, all those things. But now it's become a little bit hard, especially on the premise of the pitch. Okay. And these are essential. So, yes, it is very important and it's possible to teach kids or school students between the ages of 9 to 12 how
mhm.
to speak cadence and the importance of speaking in cadence.
So quickly, we're gonna go back to this point that you made about someone, it may be a client or someone that did not realize that they were picking their nose while they're speaking. So let's talk about that type of body language during communication, right? And some examples would be the same, picking the nose, especially for women, flicking the hair, touching the hair, or tucking the hair. Yes, and rubbing their arms. They'll be, rubbing parts of their arm. Yeah. So I would see women on panel, and I'm not picking anyone, but it could be anyone. But in this case, and they sit there, they seem to be listening and connecting and making eye contact. And the moment their turn come around, they start with a lot of and then start flicking the hair, tucking the hair, rubbing the skin, the body, and then they start saying what they say. I don't know if you've observed that and what could be contributing to that.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. And it's a thing that is happening to almost everybody. It's happening to even coaches themselves are facing those problems. So
Mhm.
it's not just with individuals who are learning to speak or individuals who are just mere speakers. It happens to almost everyone. Now, the reason why it happens that way is because body language is uncomfortable. That's the bottom line. It's
Mhm.
uncomfortable to keep a level of calm when you are speaking. That is when they are fidgeting, they are touching different parts of their body. It's a
Yeah.
sign of discomfort. They're not feeling comfortable in themselves. So in order to feel comfortable, I'd rather do this to feel comfortable in myself, or I'd rather be biting my fingers so that I shovel that discomfort into biting my fingers, or I'd rather play with my hair so that I shovel that discomfort in my hair to turn the attention that I'm not I'm I well I feel comfortable. Yes, I'm okay. It's a way we are giving ourselves some level of validation that
Right.
we're doing pretty fine. Okay,
Mhm.
that's on the aspects of the body language. Now, on the aspect of the speaking, which is the articulacy part, it also has got to do with you not being conscious of the things that you have to say. Many people believe that articulating themselves or speaking starts in the mouth. So when they are asked the question quickly, they go into, yes, so for this particular one, they jump into speaking. They
Mhm.
jump into looking for words to speak. But speaking does not operate from that perspective. It starts in the mind. You have to first, there are three steps into doing this. We have the first thing that is called concept formation. The
Mhm.
second concept formation is thought, where we generate thoughts or thoughts to speak about. Let's describe thoughts as ideas you want to express. So
Yeah.
you generate a thought to speak about. Then the next level is what is called organization and sequencing, where you look at now these thoughts that I have, these diverse ideas, these pieces of things, information that I have, I'm going to arrange them before I speak them. I'll talk about this one first. And once I'm done with that, I'll talk about this one first. Then I'll talk about that. Then I talk about that.
Mhm.
That's organization and sequence. Then
Mhm.
the last part is the delivery or the motor where we begin speaking. Most people skip the first two where they don't generate any thoughts, they don't sequence it, then boom, they begin speaking.
Right.
And because they don't have anything on their mind at the time, they start with now when they do they are telling you that, hey, I don't have anything to say. I am now thinking. I'm trying to be conscious of something that I want to say. So
Uh-huh.
please don't punish me for not knowing what I don't, what for not knowing something I have to say. Okay, exactly. Exactly. So we mostly are not conscious of the things we are saying, and therefore we say to give ourselves some time to pardon ourselves for not knowing what to say. That is literally the basic or the simplest form to express this, but it
And
can be.
and I think I have one final question because this is so good, and but I know I have to let you go. One final piece here.
Okay.
You make your speech, you go on stage, say I'm one of your clients, and you prepare me to just go out there and do it. I have the high contact, I was able to process what I said, I make the connection with the audience, there were some emotions that passed back and forth. But after the speech and everybody shake hands and you go home, that's when you start beating yourself up. Ec- Help fix that for us. Help us understand that.
there's this book on presence that talks about this phenomenon. Well, I can share it with you after the call. Now, she talks about an element that is called the elevator effect or the elevator syndrome, where you have done what you've got to do, but after that, you begin thinking, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh my God." One of the key transformative moments in my speaking journey was one moment where I emceed a program. It was a church program with over 400 people there. Now, I said, ladies and gentlemen, you see, my colleagues made fun of me. They recorded me and they played it to me, and they were making fun of me, actually, teasing me. Did you hear how you sounded? You were screaming. It was terrible. Now, this kept playing in my head, and I felt so terrible, like really, really terrible. I felt really bad. Now, it has happened to the best of us. It does happen. And this is because we set some expectations in ourselves that we want to meet those expectations. And we begin to feel that, hey, I couldn't meet those expectations, and therefore I'm so bad. I could have done better. Oh no.
Right.
So what I always tell my clients, or what I tell people, is that, you see, society think at this level. Okay, you think at this level. Okay, when you have to do something, when you have to do public speaking, you envision the performance going at this level. Sadly, you're never able to deliver up to those expectations you have. You deliver up to this.
Mm-hmm.
Society's expectation is usually somewhere down here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Right. So whenever it doesn't go well, hey, if you want to take some solace in your terrible performance, just compare yourself to, well, people will think this level, but I was able to deliver about them. Good work to me. I've done very well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is to focus on, hey, what did I do wrong and what could I have done better? Because there is no solution around the fact that it didn't go well and you keep on playing it over and over. It's
Right.
up to you to make it stop. So if you don't make it stop, it can cripple your entire speaking journey. I remember
Exactly.
one of my students, she said, a lady, now she said, I'm afraid to speak. He was doing this university politics where she was aspiring for general secretary. Now, her biggest fear was she has tried that before when she was in high school. And the very moment she entered the class and saw the people there, she passed out, she collapsed. And that has become a traumatic experience
Yeah.
that keeps on playing in her mind anytime she could think of meeting or standing in front of people to speak.
Mm-hmm.
What if I pass out again? God, I am cooked. Okay. Now, the solution around all these aftermath replay is one, hey, you did what you have to do. Okay. And what you think you could not do, the people don't even see it. Okay. The people don't even see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's your expectation that, hey, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have done this. Imagine this conversation after we leave here and I go, I should have said this thing to Miss Sonia, oh, I did terrible for this conversation. I could have added this thing to make it more richer. Well, maybe you didn't even notice that I thought I should have said those things, okay? And I put a burden on myself.
Mm-hmm.
The solution is not to be too hard on yourself in terms of your performance. Don't seek for perfection. Do
Mm-hmm.
what you know you have to do, irrespective of how it goes. Hey, I could have done this one better. I could have done that one better. Focus on those things and don't judge yourself or criticize yourself for not doing what you think you could have done. That is gone. Focus on the future. And that is the only way to go.
Excellent, excellent. Sarpong, I am so appreciative of your time, and you just, you have informed me. You informed me right now. And I hope that for anyone who may come across this video, would be just as informed as well. And I just wish you, 100 more clients, to expand because this is such a beautiful thing that you're doing. Confidence is a theme here that just keep popping out, right? When you talk about communication, and I really like those pieces. I mean, I could see myself doing a PowerPoint on all the things that you've given me here about confidence, courage, presence, intentionality. Right? Those are some key areas, and I thank you for your time. Hopefully, we can connect again and just you just share and I listen because you're so easy to listen to. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Miss Sonia. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope anybody who finds this thing, this conversation we've had here, who finds it very useful.
Let me ask you, do you want to, or I know you have your Instagram. But
Yeah.
if say someone listens to this, I mean, with connecting via video, you can coach anywhere, as you said, in anyone in the world. How can they get in touch with you? Is it through Instagram or is your other form, if you're comfortable, that is?
That's a very good one. Anyone who would be interested in getting in touch with me can do so via Instagram or TikTok.
Okay.
They send a message request and I'll be happy to respond to them there.
All right. Thank you again, Sarpong, and hope to connect soon. Bye bye.
Oh, bye.